The Galactic Council chamber floated above a burning blue sun, a city of glass and light suspended in endless night. It was said that within its vast domes, laws were shaped for 1,000 civilizations. Every voice that spoke there could change the fate of worlds. On this day, the chamber was silent, not because of reverence, but because of fear. At the center of that silence stood a single human. Ambassador Leon Hale of Earth stood beneath the silver spire of the Council's center podium. Around him, tiers of alien delegates rose in circular rows, their shapes flickering beneath the shifting holographic light. Some had crystal bodies that shimmered like flame. Others breathed mist, others pulsed with faint bioluminescence. Each represented a world older and greater than his own. Each believed humanity was a mistake. A low voice filled the air, echoing from all sides at once. It belonged to the presiding chancellor, a being woven from transparent membranes that rippled like sails in the wind. Representative of Earth, it said, you stand before the Galactic Council to answer charges of aggression, ecological violation, and planetary instability. Your species has been recorded as originating from a Category 9 biosphere, classified Deathworld. Do you deny this? Leon's voice was calm. We do not deny what we are. 1,000 whispers rippled through the chamber, a wave of disbelief and disgust. Screens flickered to life above them, showing scenes of Earth, lightning storms, erupting volcanoes, towering oceans, forests thick with predators. Every image screamed chaos. A delegate shaped like living ice rose from its seat. Your planet kills half its own species every generation, it said sharply. No other civilization could have emerged from such madness. You are an evolutionary error. Another delegate, a feathered being from the gentle world of Tyrell, spoke softly but with venom. Your people turned their weapons against each other even before achieving spaceflight. How can such creatures be allowed to walk among the stars? Leon let them speak. He didn't flinch. He didn't interrupt. He waited until the noise began to fade, and when it did, his voice cut through the air like a line of steel. You call Earth a mistake, he said, but your species were born in safety. You evolved where food was abundant, where storms were mild, where life was predictable. You had the luxury of peace. We didn't. The chamber brightened as he lifted a small device from the table, a Terran data cube glowing faint blue. With a single touch, it projected a field of images. Into the air, a human climbing through blizzards on Mount Everest, divers exploring the deep black ocean, a firefighter walking through a burning forest, a child smiling, beneath acid rain in a polluted city, a doctor working inside a war zone. These are humans, Leon said. They are not soldiers, not conquerors, just people surviving their world. Every one of us is trained by our planet to face death from the moment we are born. The Chancellor's membranes rippled again. You claim virtue and violence? I claim adaptation, Leon replied. Your council calls Earth a death world. That is true, but that same world taught us to endure, to learn, to build. It forged us through trial. You see danger. We see training. One of the insectoid delegates clicked in irritation. Training for what? To spread your brutality among the stars? Leon looked up toward the council seats, his eyes calm, unblinking. To survive what comes next? When the galaxy faces something it cannot predict, something it cannot negotiate with, who will stand between you and extinction? The ones born in comfort or the ones born in chaos? Silence filled the chamber. Even the air itself seemed to still. The humans had entered the council's halls as accused criminals, but now they had become something else, uncomfortable, defiant, and impossible to ignore. The Chancellor's translucent head tilted slightly. Your words are bold, yet you have not answered the charge. The Council asks, is your world safe for inclusion in the Interstellar Accord? Leon paused. Then he smiled, and the faintest edge of irony flickered across his face. Safe? No, Earth is not safe. It never was. But safety never built anything worth keeping. The Council murmured again. Some aliens shifted uneasily. Others watched with fascination. On their data screens, a cascade of statistics appeared. Records of human disasters, wars, recoveries, innovations. The pattern was clear. Humans broke, adapted, and built stronger each time. A metallic delegate with a face like a mirror leaned forward. Your species evolved in constant struggle. You turned even catastrophe into advantage. That is not stability. That is unpredictability, a threat. Then study us, Leon said. Learn why we survived when other worlds died. See our planet. See what shaped us. If you wish to understand the danger, come to its source. The Chancellor shifted again. You invite us to the Deathworld? Leon nodded. Yes, send your scholars. Your students. Let them see what Earth truly is, not what your archives say, but what we live every day. Let them decide if the danger is in our world, or in what the galaxy fears to face. For the first time in the Council's long history, there was hesitation. Some delegates argued in low tones, their voices blending into an ocean of alien sound. The Chancellor's voice rose above them all. This Council will deliberate. Earth's status will be suspended until further study. A delegation will be dispatched to your planet. You will host them under supervision. Should any harm come to them, humanity will face immediate isolation. Leon bowed slightly. Understood. He turned to leave, but as he walked from the podium, a whisper followed him. Soft, almost uncertain, from one of the younger alien aides near the lower chamber. Do you truly think they will survive your world? Leon stopped, then looked back over his shoulder. That depends, he said, on whether they listen. The chamber doors sealed behind him and the council erupted into chaos. Hours later, far from the glowing halls, the decision spread across the galaxy. News channels described Earth with fearful fascination. Scholars debated whether humans were miracles of evolution or cosmic accidents. On distant worlds, people whispered new words, Deathworlders they called them. Beings who lived where no one else could, whose will had been tempered by suffering. Back on Earth, deep within the Terran Institute for Interplanetary Studies, scientists were already preparing for visitors. The atmosphere hummed with quiet tension. The arrival of the alien delegation would change everything. Dr. Mara Vega, the lead biologist assigned to the project, reviewed data on her screen, lists of planetary hazards, pathogen profiles, and survival protocols. She had seen the council broadcast, watched Leon's speech, and knew what it meant. Earth was about to be exposed. Outside the lab window, a storm rolled across the coast, thunder flashing like distant artillery. She closed the screen and whispered to herself, "Let them come. Let them see what kind of world built us." Far above the clouds, a small shuttle carrying the first alien research team entered orbit around Earth. Inside, 5 young alien students stared through the viewport, watching the planet turn below, swirling oceans, glowing cities, continents scarred by rivers and storms. One of them, a reptilian youth named Lurin, whispered, "How could anything survive down there?" The pilot, a human officer, smiled faintly. "You'll see soon enough." The ship descended through clouds, engines flaring against turbulence. The aliens clutched their seats as lightning cracked outside the hull. Below, the dark continents of Earth waited like the open jaws of a living beast. In the vast distance, the council chamber faded from memory. The true test of humanity's nature was only beginning, and as the alien delegation braced for landing, one truth became clear. This was not a visit of diplomacy. It was a lesson written by a world that had never known mercy. The Deathworld was ready to teach. The Galactic Council chamber shimmered in eerie silence as the broadcast replayed across the galaxy. Thousands of alien representatives watched the moment humanity had stood alone before them, calm and fearless, as they were declared a potential threat to galactic peace. The memory lingered in every corner of the Council's halls. The presiding chancellor's translucent body pulsed faintly as it addressed the gathered members once more. "The human envoy has agreed to full transparency," it said. "A field delegation will visit their homeworld. Observers will determine if Earth poses danger to the Accord or if coexistence is possible." Around the chamber, alien representatives muttered in their strange, rhythmic languages. Many opposed the decision, others demanded it. Few wanted to see the Deathworld up close, but curiosity was a force no law could contain. Ambassador Leon Hale stood once again at the center podium, his posture steady, eyes sharp. Behind him, the projection of Earth rotated, its continents carved with mountains, its clouds dense with storms. It looked alive, restless, almost watching them back. A counselor with copper wings leaned forward. "You understand, Ambassador, that if your planet is found to be unstable, isolation will be permanent. No trade, no diplomacy, no travel. Earth will be cut off." Leon's expression did not change. "We understand. That's why we're not hiding." The Chancellor's transparent membranes fluttered like waves. "The delegation departs immediately. Do you have anything further to say before judgment begins?" Leon looked around at the vast circle of alien eyes, then simply said, "Be ready to see what you've never imagined." The council lights dimmed. The decision was final. Hours later, far from the shining council spires, the alien research vessel Sarivon left orbit around the capital world. Aboard were 5 chosen observers: Lurin of the reptilian Vol species, Tira of the feathered Vayari, Dren of the aquatic Keel, Joro of the crystalline Hesh, and Rin of the insectoid Tal. Together they were the first to visit the Deathworld. As the stars streaked past their viewport, Lurin watched the data feed replaying fragments of human history. They survived extinction-level impacts, he muttered, half in awe. They burned their skies, then rebuilt them. How? Tira's feathers trembled. Their own world attacks them every day. Perhaps they stopped fearing death. The ship's pilot, a human named Lieutenant Dana Ruiz, smiled faintly from her seat. You'll see for yourselves soon enough. The vessel entered Earth's orbit. The blue sphere grew larger, its atmosphere swirling with storms, oceans reflecting sunlight like liquid fire. The alien students pressed against the glass, their hearts tightening as lightning flashed across entire continents. This world is alive, Dren whispered. Alive and hostile. Ruiz's voice came over the intercom. Welcome to Earth, I hope you brought strong nerves. The ship plunged into atmosphere. The hull shook violently, turbulence roaring around them. The aliens gripped their seats as streaks of light raced by. When they finally broke through the clouds, they saw sprawling continents below, dense forests, gleaming cities, mountains blanketed with snow, deserts burning gold. They landed near the western coast of a human continent, where an enormous facility awaited, the Terran Institute for Interplanetary Studies. The complex stretched across the cliffs, silver domes linked by bridges that overlooked a stormy sea. As the hatch opened, hot air and the scent of salt hit them at once. Gravity pressed down on their bodies like invisible chains. Even breathing felt like labor. Dr. Mara Vega waited for them on the platform, a human woman with calm eyes and a faint smile. Welcome to the Deathworld, she said lightly. Let's make sure you survive your first day. Lurin stepped forward, bowing slightly. Professor Vega, we are honored. The Council has sent us to study and document the environment of your world. I know, she replied. You'll find Earth generous in lessons. The group followed her inside. The hallways were lined with screens showing human environments, lava fields, glaciers, rainforests crawling with life. Each display listed the dangers: radiation, venom, storms, disease. Tira's feathers tightened as she read one. Your oceans contain life forms capable of killing large creatures with a single touch? Dr. Vega nodded. And yet we swim in them for sport. The aliens exchanged glances. It was not arrogance in her tone, it was simply fact. As they walked deeper into the facility, the walls shook faintly. A rumble came from somewhere below. Dren flinched. What was that? Seismic activity, Vega said calmly. A minor tremor. Perfectly normal here. When they reached the main observation deck, the aliens gasped. A massive storm was moving across the ocean, lightning splitting the clouds open like wounds. Waves taller than towers crashed against the cliffs. Vega watched it with quiet pride. This is our teacher, she said. We call it nature. It doesn't care if we live or die, so we learn to adapt. Rin tilted his insect-like head. And if you failed to adapt? Then we disappeared, she said simply. Later in the laboratory, the aliens were given their first field test, analyzing local microorganisms under supervision. The human researchers explained the protocols, but even with the strongest sterilization fields, several samples began to corrode the containment tools. The Vayari student Tira dropped her device in panic. It's eating through the shield, she cried. The human technician beside her moved fast, pouring a clear liquid onto the surface. The reaction hissed and stopped. The room filled with the sharp smell of acid. Hydrochloric solution, the technician said. Kills almost everything. Lurin looked horrified. You just burned it? Vega turned from her desk. Yes, it's simple chemistry. Fire, acid, pressure. We learned them before we learned peace. There was no cruelty in her tone, only efficiency. The aliens realized humans didn't hesitate when facing danger. They acted. That night, the alien delegation gathered in their quarters. The air outside was thick and heavy. The sound of distant thunder rolled across the sky. Tira sat by the window, watching flashes of lightning illuminate the ocean. They smile, they speak gently, she whispered. But I can feel it. This world is always one heartbeat away from chaos. Lurin nodded slowly. And yet they live as if it's normal. Maybe it is, the others said nothing. They were starting to understand what no archive had ever captured. Humans didn't just survive their world. They had made peace with its cruelty. The next morning, an alarm tore through the base. Lights flashed red. The alien students rushed into the hall as human officers moved in tight formation. Vega appeared, pulling on a protective suit. "Stay inside your quarters," she ordered. "What is happening?" Lurin demanded. "One of our containment drones malfunctioned during a geological sample run," she said. "The specimen may be unstable." They ignored her warning and followed at a distance as the humans worked. The damaged drone lay half buried in the dirt near the edge of the facility. A dark growth spread from it, eating through metal and stone alike. The alien students recoiled. The organism was melting its surroundings. "How do you fight this?" Dren whispered. "Watch," Vega said. The humans began spraying foam and liquid fire in a coordinated pattern. The growth sizzled and shriveled, smoke rising as the smell of burnt ozone filled the air. Within minutes, it was gone. Vega turned to the aliens. "Control is everything. On Earth, when something wants to kill you, hesitation kills faster." Lurin stared at the scorched ground. "You destroyed the drone. That technology was advanced." She gave him a hard look. "Nothing is more advanced than survival." When the operation ended, the team walked back through the rain. The alien students said nothing. They had come to study humanity's danger, but instead they had witnessed its discipline. That night, as another storm rolled in, Tira recorded her daily report to the council. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke. "Day 1 on Earth, the air is thick, the gravity heavy, the world unpredictable. But the humans move through it as if it were nothing. They live with danger, not against it. Their calm is the most frightening thing I have ever seen." Outside, thunder rolled again across the ocean, and deep beneath the earth, the planet rumbled faintly, as if reminding them it was awake, watching, and patient. The Deathworld had begun to tell its story. The Galactic Council chamber roared with tension as the emergency session began. The light from the central core flickered through the transparent walls, casting sharp beams across the rows of alien representatives. Their voices overlapped, hundreds of species arguing in their own languages. The council had gathered again to discuss one thing: Earth. A recording was playing above the central platform, captured from the Terran Institute. It showed the alien delegation's first day on Earth. Violent storms, microbial accidents, and humans calmly responding as if it were ordinary. The footage of the containment drone burning in acid made many delegates recoil. "This is proof." "On," crystalline representative shouted. "Their world is unfit for contact." Another, a tall avian diplomat with orange plumes, hissed, "No civilized being could thrive there. That planet must be isolated." At the center podium, Ambassador Leon Hale stood alone again, his expression unreadable. The presiding chancellor turned toward him, membranes glowing faintly. "You promise safety for our observers," it said. "And yet your own environment defies containment." "Explain, human." Leon raised his head slowly. The incident was contained in less than 2 minutes. No lives were lost. "The lesson, Chancellor, is that humans do not fear disaster. We learn from it faster than anyone else." "You call that control?" the Chancellor asked. "I call it experience," Leon replied. "If a world like ours can teach your scholars something about survival, then it's worth the risk." The chamber murmured with disagreement. The council's final decision was postponed once again, and the alien delegation on Earth was ordered to continue their research. The council demanded daily transmissions. Leon bowed and left the chamber in silence. Far away on Earth, dawn broke over the Terran Institute. The storm had passed, but the world still felt alive with movement and energy. The alien students, weary but fascinated, gathered for their next lesson under Dr. Vega's supervision. "Today," she said, "we'll study adaptation." Lurin, his reptilian skin shifting colors in the sunlight, tilted his head. "Adaptation to what?" Vega smiled. "Everything." She led them through a dense greenhouse filled with Earth's native plants. The humidity clung to their lungs. The air smelled of soil and life. Each specimen looked harmless but had a history of danger. Some had thorns coated with neurotoxins, others grew roots that strangled competing species. "These plants fight for sunlight," Vega explained. They evolved weapons because our world doesn't offer mercy. Tira touched a leaf carefully with gloved fingers. Even the plants are at war? In a way, Vega said. It's not hatred, it's survival. The aliens followed her deeper into the garden. She stopped beside a glass tank filled with darting insects. These are mosquitoes, she said. They've survived ice ages, droughts, and extinction events. They're older than most of your civilizations. They taught us about endurance and irritation. Lurin frowned. You admire them? Vega laughed softly. We study them. Admiration is optional. Later that day, the group watched a human survival training exercise in the nearby coastal area. The aliens stood on an observation platform as a squad of human trainees moved through fire and smoke, carrying simulated injured civilians. The aliens couldn't believe the heat tolerance, the noise, the chaos, and how the humans stayed focused through it all. Rin, the insectoid student, whispered, They act like they've done this before. They have, said a human instructor beside them. Every country, every year, disasters come. You learn or you don't make it. The aliens said nothing. They watched as one trainee fell, skin burned by heat, but another picked him up and dragged him through the fire line without hesitation. When it ended, the humans stood together, coughing, covered in soot, but smiling. Vega turned to the students. That's what Earth made us. We learn to depend on one another because the planet doesn't care if we live or die. We survive by standing together. That evening, Lurin recorded his report to the Council. Observation Log Cycle 3. Humans possess unique psychological patterns. They face constant stress from their planet but transform fear into unity. Their cooperation under threat seems instinctive. I suspect it's evolutionary. While he recorded, a tremor shook the facility. The floor vibrated and the lights flickered. Dren the aquatic keel flinched. Is that another storm? Vega's voice came calmly through the intercom. Earthquake, moderate, stay where you are. The aliens looked around in disbelief. The walls groaned. Dust fell from the ceiling. Vega entered the room moments later, moving with practiced ease. Follow me, she said. We have protocols for this. Outside, the ground rippled like water. Alarms blared. Humans moved quickly, guiding the aliens toward reinforced shelters. The alien students struggled to stay balanced as the Earth itself rolled beneath them. When it finally stopped, the facility was intact. The humans began checking systems and power lines, working methodically without panic. Lurin stared at them in silence. You act as if the world itself is alive and angry. It is, Vega said. But we don't hate it for that. It made us strong. As they walked back through the damaged halls, the aliens noticed how the humans comforted one another, how they joked while repairing cracks and carrying debris. Their resilience seemed effortless. That night, Tira couldn't sleep. She stared out at the lightning flickering over the horizon, the endless rhythm of Earth's storms. I thought strength came from peace, she murmured. But they find strength in struggle. Lurin nodded. Maybe that's what makes them dangerous. The following day, Vega introduced them to human medical research. They watched doctors treat severe injuries from the training drills and earthquake. What amazed the aliens wasn't just the technology, it was the will. Humans kept patients alive against impossible odds. Dren whispered. Their bodies break easily, but they repair them faster than I thought possible. Vega overheard. Pain teaches more than comfort ever will. Every scar is a memory of what not to repeat. The words stayed with them. Later, during a council transmission, the alien students reported their findings. They described human biology, their redundant organs, their strange ability to heal, and their unyielding drive to continue. Some council members scoffed. Others listened in stunned silence. When the session ended, the Chancellor asked one final question. Do you believe they are a danger to the galaxy? Lurin hesitated. Not yet, he said. But if the galaxy ever turns against them, I believe the galaxy would lose. The transmission ended. On Earth, the alien students joined Vega at the coastal cliffs as evening fell. The sun dipped into the ocean, painting the waves in red and gold. For a rare moment, there was peace. Vega stood beside them, her gaze distant. When I was a child, my home was destroyed by a flood, she said. We rebuilt. When the fires came, we rebuilt again. You see, the planet teaches us that endings are only beginnings in disguise. Tira looked at her with unease. Doesn't that exhaust you? Vega smiled faintly. Sometimes, but giving up would exhaust us more. The sky darkened. Thunder rolled once again, deep and low. The aliens could feel the pulse of the planet beneath their feet, steady and alive. They finally understood that Earth was not merely dangerous, it was relentless. As night fell, the alien student sent one final private message to the council. "We came to study a death world. Instead, we found a species that has made peace with death itself." High above, in the Galactic Council's golden halls, the Chancellor watched the message play on the main screen. The sound of thunder echoed faintly from the recording. The translucent being whispered to itself, "Perhaps the humans are not the ones we should fear. Perhaps it is the world that made them." Far below, lightning tore across the oceans again, and Earth, wild, untamed, alive, kept breathing, shaping its children in silence. The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a hiss, revealing the humans standing once again before the most powerful assembly in the galaxy. The hall was larger than any structure Earth had ever built, its vaulted ceiling lost in mist and its floor shining like a mirror. Hundreds of alien representatives filled the tiers, each with their translator drones humming softly. In the center of the chamber, a glowing symbol of the Council floated, an emblem representing over 7,000 civilizations. The air felt heavy, charged with suspicion and fear. Humanity had done the unthinkable. In only one cycle, they had uncovered the secret archives of the Council, files that even the senior members were forbidden to access. Rumors spread across the stars like wildfire. How could a primitive species from a single world break into systems built by civilizations millions of years old? Some called it luck. Others called it something far darker. At the center stood Captain Elias Grant, his uniform plain compared to the decorated robes of the alien dignitaries. His eyes, sharp and unyielding, swept across the assembly. The silence was thick enough to crush. Behind him, Ambassador Mira Vale waited, her expression calm but her heartbeat quickened. They both knew what was coming. The Counselor of the Voran Dominion rose first, his long crystalline body glowing with pale blue light. "Humans," his voice echoed through the chamber, "your actions violate Article 9 of Galactic Security Law. Unauthorized access to restricted data is punishable by planetary quarantine." "How do you answer?" Grant did not bow. "We accessed no files beyond what was necessary to protect our world," he said steadily. The Council's secrecy regarding the classification of Earth demanded it. The alien murmurs grew louder. The word Deathworld echoed across the tiers like a curse. Mira noticed how even the most ancient races flinched when they said it. The classification had been known, but the reasoning had always been hidden. Now everyone wanted to know why the humans demanded the truth. The counselor from the Kivar Collective leaned forward, his body like a mass of molten glass. "You broke into the Galactic Archives, human. Tell us, what did you seek there?" Grant's gaze did not waver. "We sought to know why you call our home a death world. We sought to know why, among thousands of habitable planets, Earth is marked as forbidden for settlement." For a moment, the hall went completely silent. Then an older alien near the upper tier, a Cerethian elder, rose slowly. "Because your planet kills everything," he said. "Because even we, with all our shields and technology, could not survive there for more than a few days." The holograms around the chamber flickered to life. Images of storms, volcanic eruptions, and monstrous wildlife filled the space. The aliens whispered in disbelief as they watched footage of Earth's nature, its violent seas, its massive storms, and its apex predators. But Elias Grant took a step forward. "You're wrong," he said. "Our world doesn't kill everything. It makes us stronger. It forged us." The tension snapped. The Voran counselor's voice turned sharp. "Strength is irrelevant when it threatens the balance of the stars. Humanity's survival instinct makes you unpredictable, dangerous. You fight even when reason says surrender. You build weapons before you build peace. That is why you are feared." Ambassador Mira spoke now, her tone calm but firm. "We are not seeking war. We seek understanding. If our nature frightens you, then perhaps you should ask yourselves why the galaxy fears a species that still bleeds." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Some alien eyes glowed brighter, others dimmed in doubt. A sudden voice came from the shadows of the upper tiers. "Or perhaps it is not their strength we fear," it said. "Perhaps it is their curiosity." The speaker stepped into the light, a young alien scholar with emerald skin and glowing markings. His name was Lauren, one of the few alien students who had recently visited Earth as part of a council exchange program. He had seen humanity firsthand, and what he witnessed had haunted him ever since. "Tell them what you saw, Lurin," Mira said quietly. Lurin's eyes shifted between the humans and the council. "I saw a world that should have been dead long ago," he said. "Yet it thrives. The gravity is crushing, the air dense, the storms violent enough to tear metal apart. Every creature there fights for every breath. And the humans, they smile through it. They laugh in the face of things that would destroy us." He took a breath. "Their cities are built where volcanoes once stood. They have tamed lightning to power their homes. They have sent machines into the void of space before most species could even light fire. They live beside death every day, and yet they create art, music, dreams. They are terrifying in their beauty." The council murmured again, but this time the fear was mixed with awe. The chamber's atmosphere changed slightly, uncertain now of who truly held power in this exchange. Elias Grant took the moment. "You fear what you do not understand. But we are not monsters. We are survivors. You call our home a death world, yet it gave us life. It taught us to endure, to adapt, to overcome. We only want our place among the stars, not to rule them." The Vorin counselor slammed his staff. "Your words are noble, human. But the galaxy has seen what happens when Deathworld species spread unchecked. Entire systems fall. You are an anomaly, a risk we cannot ignore." Grant glanced around, unshaken. "You call us a risk. We call ourselves ready." A deep silence followed. Then, unexpectedly, one of the counselors from the Aquiline Federation, known for their peaceful nature, rose and spoke. "Perhaps it is not humanity that should be judged. Perhaps it is the council for fearing what it does not wish to face." The statement sent a shockwave across the chamber. The Vorin and Kivar delegates protested, their voices rising in alarm. But the humans stood their ground. The holographic emblem of the council pulsed brighter, responding to the growing conflict. Ambassador Mira lowered her voice and spoke to Lurin. "You said once that your kind learns through experience. Then tell them what you learned on Earth." Lurin hesitated. "I learned that fear can blind even the wisest. And I learned that humanity is not what we think they are. They are not predators by instinct. They are protectors by choice." The words echoed through the hall, silencing even the fiercest council members. For the first time, the council appeared uncertain. The vote to quarantine Earth had not yet been passed. The humans had turned the hearing into something else, a trial of fear itself. Elias Grant stepped closer to the central light. "You call Earth a death world," he said quietly, "but maybe that's why we were born there. Because only on a world like that could life learn to look at death and not bow to it." The chamber lights dimmed as the council went into deliberation. Outside, the galaxy waited. Inside, two humans stood tall among thousands of alien eyes, defying a fear older than the stars. And in that vast silence, one truth began to spread across the minds of every being present, that maybe, just maybe, the galaxy's most dangerous world was also its greatest miracle. The humans turned, their figures framed against the golden light of the chamber's exit. Whatever came next, the council would never see them as primitive again. The chamber lights dimmed to a cold silver glow as the Galactic Council prepared for its final verdict. Every representative, every delegate, every mind in that grand hall turned toward the two humans who stood alone in the center. They were small compared to the towering forms that surrounded them, creatures of crystal, vapor, and energy, but the silence that followed their presence was unlike anything the Council had ever known. For the first time in recorded history, a species from a newly discovered world stood accused not of violence, but of being too dangerous simply for existing. The Council, an empire of reason and order stretching across thousands of worlds, now trembled before the very concept of humanity. The lead counselor, a being of pure luminescent plasma known as the Ardent Speaker, raised one glowing hand. "The Council convenes for the final decision on the matter of Earth and its inhabitants." The voice echoed across the chamber, layered in multiple tones. "Humanity stands accused of destabilizing the balance of the galaxy through its unpredictable nature and its potential to dominate through fear. Do the humans have any final words before judgment is passed?" Captain Elias Grant's voice was steady. "Yes," he said, "we do." The air seemed to ripple as his words carried across the hall. Ambassador Mira Vale stepped forward beside him. You call us dangerous, she said, her eyes sweeping across the alien delegates. And you're right. We are, but not because we want to destroy. We are dangerous because we refuse to die quietly. Because when everything else falls, we stand up again. The crowd murmured, and the ardent speaker tilted its head, light shifting within its translucent form. You speak as though your defiance is virtue. The galaxy fears you for good reason. You cannot be controlled. Grant met that statement with a cold smile. We can't be controlled because we believe in freedom. Every species here was once weak. Every world here fought for survival. Yet you call us monsters because we still remember what that fight feels like. The chamber lights flickered as the words sank in. The Kivar delegate slammed its claw against the railing. Freedom is chaos. The galaxy cannot survive if every world follows your path. Mira looked at him. Then maybe the galaxy should remember that order without courage is just another kind of cage. A murmur of shock spread across the tiers. Even some of the elder species whispered among themselves. Lurin, the young alien student who had once studied on Earth, stood among them. He had seen humanity with his own eyes, and his voice rose above the noise. They are right, he said. I saw what they endure. Their storms, their heat, their gravity, each would kill us. Yet they flourish. Their children play under skies filled with lightning. Their explorers dive into oceans that would crush us. They built ships not because it was easy, but because the stars called them. You call them reckless. I call them alive. The chamber went silent again. Elias Grant looked toward the ardent speaker. You fear us because we adapt, because we question, because we learn faster than your laws can contain. But you forget something important. We didn't come here to conquer. We came to join. The light around the speaker flickered, as if conflicted. And if the council rejects your plea? Grant's eyes narrowed. Then we'll go home. We'll stay on our so-called Deathworld. And when your galaxy needs help one day, as it surely will, we'll be waiting. Because that's what humans do. We survive everything, even you. A deep, vibrating hum filled the chamber. It was the Council's ancient vote sequence activating, each species casting its decision. One by one, the symbols of their worlds lit up above them. Red for banishment, blue for acceptance. The outcome would determine Earth's fate. Mira's heart pounded as the votes came in. Red, red, blue, blue, red again. The pattern was impossible to predict. Some species that had feared humans for generations voted in their favor. Others, terrified by their potential, voted against. Lurin stood among the observers, trembling. He couldn't vote, but his voice carried weight. He turned to his mentor, the Cerethian elder. If we condemn them, Lurin said softly, we condemn what we once were, the will to live, no matter the cost. The elder hesitated, his many eyes blinking slowly. Then, to everyone's shock, he raised his sigil and cast it blue. A wave of murmurs spread through the council chamber. More followed. Blue after blue began to fill the air. When the last vote fell, the emblem of the council flared with a blinding white light. The ardent speaker's voice returned, softer now. The vote is complete. The council recognizes humanity as an independent member world. Earth shall not be quarantined. The Deathworld shall be free. The silence that followed was overwhelming. Then came a sound no one expected. Applause. It began with Lurin, then a few others joined. The sound spread, echoing across the grand hall until even the walls seemed to hum with it. Elias Grant exhaled slowly, a faint smile breaking through his calm exterior. Looks like we made it, he whispered. Mira nodded. No, she said quietly. We proved we belong. But beneath the relief, something deeper stirred within the council. The decision had changed everything. For the first time, a Deathworld species had earned full recognition. Humanity had not only broken the council's expectations, they had changed the rules of the galaxy. After the session ended, several delegates approached the humans. Some offered cautious respect. Others warned them that the decision would not sit well with all factions. The Voran Dominion in particular looked ready for war, but Grant and Mira were unshaken. They had seen worse storms on their own world. As they stepped out of the chamber, Lurin caught up with them. "Your people will change everything," he said. "The students on my world already call Earth the world that fights back." Grant looked at him and smiled faintly. "We don't fight to dominate," he said. "We fight to live." Maybe that's what scares them most. Outside, the Auri, great city of the galactic capital, stretched before them, glowing with alien lights and the movement of 1,000 species. The humans looked up at the stars beyond the glass dome. For the first time, they were not trespassers. They were equals. As they walked toward their shuttle, a transmission came through the comms, encrypted, human origin. Mira opened it. A voice spoke, calm and steady. "Ambassador Vale, Captain Grant. Earth Command reports that multiple Council fleets have begun to move near our solar boundary. They're watching us." Grant didn't look surprised. "Let them watch," he said. "We've been underestimated before." Mira smiled faintly. "And every time, we survived." The ship lifted off, its engines glowing blue against the alien sky. Far above, the stars shimmered like distant fires, silent witnesses to a truth the Council would never forget. Humanity had come from the galaxy's deadliest world, born in struggle and raised by chaos. Now they stood among civilizations that had ruled for millennia, and for the first time, the galaxy began to understand why Earth was called a Deathworld. It was not because it killed, it was because it endured, because it produced life that refused to bow. And somewhere in the hearts of the oldest species a quiet fear grew, an unspoken realization that if humanity could survive its own planet, then one day, it might survive anything. The humans disappeared into the light of the departing shuttle, leaving the council chamber behind. But the echo of their words remained, soft, defiant, and unforgettable. "We are from Earth," Elias Grant had said. "We are not here to conquer your galaxy. We are here to remind it how to live."